Okay. Good morning, Mohammed. We'll get started here in just a moment, sir. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you? Take your
Well,
time.
good to see you.
Good to see you too.
We've got a couple of the regular riff-raff in here this morning. Two of the finest that KW Bluegrass has to offer. So the top of the shelf riff-raff. We'll get started here in just a second. Today shouldn't be too terrible. It's a pretty straightforward open house course today, but I think there'll be a lot of great ideas that will be shared about how to run open houses and some of the ways that you can really use them to maximize your business. So we'll get rolling here in just a second. Is there anybody else? Is Rebecca coming in?
She's able to jam, I think she could be in.
All right, we'll get started here in just a moment. Okay.
Okay,
So I had a Nelly too.
the camera's right here though.
Yep, I see. Hi, Nelly. I got a. There we go. I want to see everybody over there. Nelly, I saw that you've started a fitness, life-changing, motivational video series. It's very exciting. Congratulations on getting that rolling. If somebody's not been working out and you start trying to become fit, you should not start. Just
I don't need.
when you look like that, I mean, there's really, what do you need to do? That's right. It's just amazing.
Keeping up performance right here. That's right.
All right. Is this it? Let's get rolling.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you,
Hey,
thank
you're
you.
very welcome. We're gonna get rolling here and get started. So today I am Steve Farno, your humble instructor today. Thanks for joining us either here in person or through Zoom. Today we are covering capturing leads with open houses. It should be a pretty straightforward course. I think that the big thing is we'll get some ideas shared today, and we have a few folks here that I know have done open houses. I've done a number of open houses in my career so far and really enjoy them. And I think that we hopefully will get some good ideas and be able to come up with some ways to help grow our business. So we'll talk about capturing leads, best practices, prepare, prospect, pursue is kind of the catchphrases of today. We'll do a recap and then let you get onto your daily success systems. So nothing else about your business will have as big an impact on it as the number of leads you have. And this is kind of the theme of real estate in general and certainly Ignite. All the different ways that you can capture leads and add to your pipeline so that business is always booming. So I think some of the limiting beliefs that some folks have is one of the things, always a theme of this course, is how to get rid of those limiting beliefs. And I think that that's something that we all deal with all the time. If you don't have an open house or have a listing to hold open, that could be a challenge, right? I don't have any signs yet, I don't have any of the stuff I need. I mean, I know the answers to questions visitors have, or, you know, they don't really work because people look online and, or, you know, won't feel safe, and I can understand that for some folks. But I think that, does anyone here have any limiting beliefs or feel that they have anything that kind of, they're afraid of open houses or haven't done them yet, or kind of like, oh, I don't know if they work, or anybody at home? Any questions about open houses that you feel like, why would I want to do an open house or anything like that? Nope,
They're great, they're fun. honestly.
they're great, they're fun.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
even if you don't have all the answers, you know, but hey, I'll give us some binder, I can get back with you, able to contact information, let me.
Sure.
Let me know.
Well, you know, the two main priorities of an open house are, one, to sell that house,
Mhm.
and two, to capture leads, right?
Right.
To add more data, more leads to your database to grow your business. Those are the two primary focuses that that you should have. I need to have my thing. But yeah, I think I'm gonna pull out my computer real quick. I want to look at some of my stuff that I had up here. Just take me a second. Yeah, I think that open houses are awesome, and if you have an opportunity, and I know who here has been doing some open houses.
I do open house. Well, so-
You're a ton of open houses. Now tell me, where are you getting those open houses if they're not your listings?
So I will look through our, like I'll go to the MLS and I'll type in Keller Williams Bluegrass and I'll see who has new listings. And I'll call or text those agents and say, hey, I see you have a new listing. Can I do an open house for you?
Yeah, that's great.
Or I'll post, but if nobody responds, I'll post on like our app or whatever. If
Sure.
nobody responds, because people are busy,
That's awesome.
so I'll go individually and just,
That's great.
All
So
our
she's prospecting our own agents on their new listings.
and now I'm to the point where people know that I will do them and they'll come to me and ask.
It's great.
But when I first started, that's how I did it,
That's awesome.
because it's the fastest way to get business.
It certainly, and it's not just for new agents either. I think that there are agents all over the country that do open houses and is a major part of even mega agents business. I know there's I think it's in Ohio. There's an agent up there who has a huge business and he still does open houses on a regular basis. And I'm trying to find it. Myrna sent me his kind of open house keys to success and kind of his game plan. And one of the things I remember is that he puts out 30 signs per open house, which is a lot of signs. I probably put out 10 to 12 signs when I do my open houses, and he was doing 30. And I think that he had a lot of great ideas through his information. And if I can find that, I'll get it posted somewhere for us here later. So open houses, who benefits? Sellers benefit. Why do the sellers benefit?
More traction, more, you know, more eyeballs inside.
Yep. Eyeballs on the house that day. What else? We've had an interesting last few years with our market, with the, you know, a seller's market very much all the time. And you can sell a house on the weekend. So maybe, do you think that because of that, you shouldn't hold open houses? Well, I'm gonna sell it in 2 days anyway, so why even bother with an open house? Leads.
And if you say it's part of your marketing plan, you better do
You
it.
better do it. That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. I think that,
I like to do a neighbors only open house, like for the first hour or whatever, and it makes the neighbors feel special. I'll go pass out flyers in
Sure.
the neighborhood. It makes them feel special.
no,
you know?
absolutely. I do that for a lot of my open houses is I'll walk the neighborhood. We'll talk about this a little bit. But you definitely, if you're doing like a Saturday or Sunday, 2 to 4,
This is,
we've got the,
This is Q's jam, open
Dream of
house, walking, door knocking, he'll take Gavin on it, I love it.
no, like, so open houses, when you do, say, let's say you're doing 2 to 4 on a Sunday or Saturday. Leading up to that open house, I print up flyers door hangers, that I can leave on the door, and I'll walk that neighborhood and try to talk to as many people as you can. but you invite the neighbors to a neighbors only 1 to 2 open house. So they can come in early and see things before it opens up for the general public. They love that. You always have the nosy neighbors anyway, and this gives you a chance to let them put a face to you. So that you suddenly become more than just a name on a sign, you're a person that they know. And I think that has a lot of power, and you'll add leads just from those conversations. That you might not have connected with if you haven't done that. Having them come in early, I like to have, if I do that, especially if it's a nicer listing with a really high end stuff, I might have snacks or, beverages and things for people to eat when they get there. And then all the other information that you're gonna have as well. You can have a concentrated amount of eyeballs on the property if you're doing an open house for the seller, and really try to maximize exposure. And I think getting the signs of getting traffic coming by the house is really important. Because we know 1 offer is great, but if you have 5 or 6 offers, that's even better, right? Because then you get to probably have that price go up a little bit, and as a listing agent, that you want people fighting over your home. And we know there aren't very many homes on the market right now, and so that is highly likely, because there were like 250 houses for sale yesterday in Fayette County, which is very small. So the buyers benefit as well. Buyers get a chance to come and see the house. It's a chance for them to, over the course of a weekend, maybe see a lot of homes on their own. So if you have an open house setup where you have a team, you have open houses at multiple listings, you can get a lot of eyeballs on a lot of your properties in a very short period of time. And I think because homes sell so fast, people still go out and look at homes through open houses. They still look at the schedule and go out and drive. Even though that we know that homes are selling much quicker if they're in any way, shape, or form decent and priced well. But I think that it is definitely a way for people to try to get through a bunch of homes as quickly as possible, because they know that homes are going quickly, so they got to get out there and look and see as many as possible so they can make a decision. The neighbors benefit. I think the neighbors benefit, they get to see the house, they get to understand what the market value is, have an idea of what that CMA, that comparative market pricing for their home, and helps them to kind of understand where they need to be for their house. All right, hold on just a second. And then the last person who benefits is you as the agent, right? So you're selling that house, but you're capturing leads, and it's really important to use open houses as a lead generating machine. And you've done open houses consistently now for a while. How many, can you look at it? Is there a dollar amount that you can kind of hang on that energy you've put out yet?
Well, I
Or
got a
any
call.
potential energy?
I got a call this weekend from an open house lead from almost 2 years ago that wanted to see a house. So the fortune's in the follow-up, and I know we say that a lot, but it's very, very, very true.
Yeah.
That same open house that those people came from, I had buyers close on a house last May from them. Like,
Wow.
that one, so you don't know,
If you don't realize this yet, real estate is a long game, right?
Yeah.
There is certainly, we know that people probably, buy a house and then move within 7 to 10 years. And so it's sometimes a little quicker than that if things happen. And so you're in a long game with this, and the same thing can happen with a lead. If you capture someone and have them in your database and you put them on a plan, multiple plans, so that you're getting that 36 touch or whatever your way of connecting and communicating with your people are. If you stay top of mind for them when they're ready to buy or sell, hopefully they're going to be calling you, and it might take a year or two for sure. So that is the key there.
But I've also gone into actually your listing and had one person show up and they bought the house within 30 days.
That's right.
So it can
Yes,
happen.
Cheyenne
very-
has hosted open houses for me before, and
Yep.
we got a sale.
Yep. It was
Easy,
the nicest people, like if every client could be those people.
yeah,
And your clients were the same, they were so sweet.
I only work with sweet people.
I mean, they were, that was like the most ideal situation. It was-
And don't forget, that's, as an agent, that's your prerogative, you don't have to work with jerks, right, and if people aren't treating you well. You can walk away, so don't ever allow yourself to be mistreated.
I fired 5 once, and it was like the most freeing thing ever.
Yeah,
Like, I did for a good man. It was amazing, but it took somebody else to say, you don't have to work with them, right? And I'm like,
You are your own boss.
oh my gosh, I don't, because I was pretty new and I'm still teaching and I was like, wow, this guy's like, oh,
if you are depending on a commission and this is your only source of income. And getting out of the gate as an agent, there's a lot of pressure to work with whomever you can to get a deal, right, to get a commission check. If you're lucky like me or Cheyenne, you have a spouse or partner that also has a nice job. And can keep you afloat and pay the bills, then you have a little bit more time to figure things out, so you have a little bit more flexibility, which is certainly nice. I have a sugar mama and it's great, so.
So the thing about, so my first open house, I mean, I didn't know what I was doing, so I watched you do yours
Yeah.
and that's whatever, I was like, cool. I'll post balloons and just kind of thinking like how I'm not having a party, right? So I'm gonna attract people to go. We only had like 3 or 4 signs, but it are like main intersection.
Sure.
And we had quite a few people and I'm picking up buyers from that open house. The buyers who are now on contract. Hopefully it's been deal, but they're under contract now. So, and I've been working with them since November and I picked them up from that open house. Just
Yes.
They didn't know me, I didn't know them. We talked, we hung out, I walked to the house. And we got real comfortable and I built, but they built trust.
You built some rapport, built trust.
Yeah, and then it was like, okay, here we go.
It's great.
And so it's a super huge benefit, and while I was showing them around, this is another part of that story. I was talking to another agent, Remax or something like that. And she's like, oh, I don't want to do an open house, go ahead and give me an offer. I was like, no. You need to do an open house. Why would you not want to do one? She's like, well, nobody ever comes to them. I'm like, well, have you created excitement? Have you marketed it? Have you advertised this thing? Because like the people I'm doing right now are from my open house.
Yeah,
So don't not do an open house and stop coaching this other real estate agent who's been doing this for like 5 years and I.
well, and something else to think about too with open houses. Let's say with the market like it's been, you have the market on, you list a house on a Friday. And you get an offer and you're probably accepting that offer on Saturday. Your open house is scheduled for Sunday, still have that open house.
Still have new accounts.
Still have the open house, have people coming through.
Oh, yeah.
There's still a chance that that first offer may not work, which we've all probably had either haven't experienced or been close to one that, fell apart like that. Do the open house anyway, even if you're under contract. Get people, have the neighbors come through, you're generating leads for your business. Your house is under contract that you're selling, great, but you need some backup offers, baby. You need to make more contacts, put more people into your database. So it's really important to not be like, oh, we're done, off to the next. Keep building that database, keep putting names in it and following up.
That's exactly, I can tell you exactly what happened my first.
Yeah.
My very first listing I had. Like, wild on a Friday, sold that night, under contract. Like I said, and we were having it, and it was all like all at once.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know, and like I said, we'll still have our house. I didn't understand why.
Why? If you
Why,
remember
why should I do it? And it's so, and
the two most important reasons you do open houses is to sell the house and to generate leads for your business.
right, and that was.
They're not exclusive, they work together.
Right, and that was huge. It's in my.
Big lot for you.
It's
Yeah.
a huge.
Yeah.
I didn't know, I didn't understand all that at first.
What, and something that I, when I was first getting started and I was on the Leah's team for a bit, and was doing some open houses, and that's how she and I met, hosting an open house for her. And she has an amazing system and setup of how she likes to do her open houses, and it's, you know, a nice list of things for agents that are hosting it. To make sure that it's done in a way that she wants it done, and I learned a ton in that environment. And I think that, you know, one of the things that, you know, for someone who has a big team that's been successful, there's a lot of stuff that was a use that we could use. And then when I was on my own, I didn't have the signs and those things. And I'm like, you know what? I need to get some of these signs. I need to build a, you know, an open house package
Yeah.
that I can have with me. And, you know, you start to get your signs, you start to get your things you need for listings, but the open house stuff is important as well. And you can get really great directional open house signage from any number of our local sign companies for not, you know, for a couple $100, you can get a bunch of signs.
I used ones from Lowe's for the first.
Yeah.
I just got real signs, in like October,
Yeah.
because I didn't have the money, and it's,
Right.
you know what, I laminated day and time, so that I could switch it out with the t-shirt, you know?
Yeah, she has a laminating machine at home.
Of course I did. I mean, come on, but I made like Saturday, Sunday, Thursday, made different times so that I could.
Yeah.
Velcro, so
Yeah.
that I could switch it out.
Sure.
I still have those, if new people want them, I'm happy to pass them
I
on,
have,
Yeah.
until you can buy your own.
I've got 30 Lowe's signs. that I
That's what I
paid
did.
$27 for,
Yeah.
and I was like, well, I need all of these, sure.
And I think that's great.
There's no record.
They're great.
To start,
To start, absolutely, you can go to Lowe's Home Depot to get those signs, but I do think that when you wanna start taking your presentation and your, you know, 5-star gold medal level service and
Yes.
professionalism, you wanna have really slick looking signs. It will take you from being, is that a FISBO?
yeah,
To, oh, that's a legitimate realtor who knows what they're doing.
Yep.
And that perception is huge, I think. You know, and those signs will last a long time. And they do wear out eventually, and the metals, you know, the stake part wears out faster, but there's a few $100s of investment to put together a nice, you know, open house package that you can use over and over and over again. So
My
think
signs
about
are-
that if that's gonna be part of your plan.
My signs are an obnoxious color also, so they stand out. Right, they're teal.
Deal, all right. So there's a lot of time invested in open house, but you're gonna be at the house for hours. You're probably walking the neighborhood, and doing that canvassing around that property. So there's a lot of time invested, but the money that is invested is really over time, pretty small, right? So there's some time, but the money itself is pretty low. The most I've done on stuff with a house over in South Hanover, we had charcuterie and wine and things like that for the neighbors only initial opening, then had it for the rest of the day, and that was a lot of fun. I do bake cookies a lot, so I like, you know, the old joke of, you know, baking cookies in the house. It's not a bad way to make a house feel a little different, and if you walk in and there's fresh baked cookie smell in the house, it's not a bad thing. And that costs $50,
And
so,
and Sam's Club, if you don't want to bake cookies, you know Sam's Club. if you don't
By
want
the
to bake
tub.
cookies, Yeah,
Yep.
and you got cookies for days. It's a lot of cookies go over the house, and it's like,
yeah.
and then you got at least these cookies.
I buy the tub of cookie dough,
Over that.
so you,
That's
and
good together.
then it's made,
Yeah.
they're fresh,
Yeah.
and if you bake them right before you leave, they're still warm and people like.
And that's the thing too, so
And then they can sell them.
with the open houses, I mean, if it's yours and you have time, you need to walk. You need to walk there, but you need to go 50 here, 50 there. I think
Yeah.
I went 50 my last time. I picked up another listing, it fell through, but at least I was able to get my name out, that's the neighbors, that's the see agent.
If you don't have listings yet, once I started having listings and my business went from mostly buyer clients to, you know, 60% listings, you know, for the last year or two, close to 50-50 now. The power of having a sign in the yard is huge, because people are driving by and see your name and call. And it's a big deal, and open houses are the next best thing to actually having a listing, because you can put that sign, maybe you spend money on some nice signs that look like a real estate listings, you know, yard sign. It's a powerful way to get your number and name in front of thousands of people driving around.
People want to go online and stuff, and that's a great.
Sure.
I truly think there are still people and want to sit down face to face and talk to somebody and
Agreed.
see a person versus somebody on a computer screen.
I think we're gonna get a whole influx of people who had missed that the last few years. And everybody, all right, I need to go. I need
Yeah.
to be out and see people.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing, I mean, you can social market, do whatever you want, but I think really the face to face will not go away. And unless you get replaced by robots, that Skynet comes.
Those that will upgrade.
Right, no, for sure, there is a big part of, you know, we still know that buying a home is that largest investment that anyone that's a normal human is ever going to make, right? And so it's a big deal. And people want to get out there and see the house. They want to, you know, walk it and, you know, we all know that real estate pictures can be really misleading and can not at all look like what it is when you walk in. So I agree, open houses are great. Take some time in preparation. And we'll go into that a little bit more as we go through this, but I think that there's a lot of great ways to take your open house from just you sitting in the house with some signs out to some pretty interesting ways to create an experience that people remember when they come to your open house.
It's really funny that you, like, the reasons why we wouldn't do it open house. That if you think about the majority of people who are looking to buy right now are my age and younger. And I know, like, growing up, my mom and dad, when we started looking for a house to buy, that's the first thing we did was my mom sat and with a newspaper at the table and circled all the open houses. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Like, as a 6, 7, 8-year-old, like, you just went to open houses on a Saturday because you were looking for a new house. And so in my mind, because you don't talk about buying.
There
a
are
house,
still agents that put their listings in the paper. Not very many, but they still do that a little bit.
But like in my brain, before I started working real estate, my thought process was the first step is going to open houses and opening houses.
Well, there
Not
used to be,
getting
the market is different in a lot of ways. Social media and the internet and online access has changed things, but there used to be, you would go and the markets have, you know, shifted back and forth between buyer and seller markets. And right now we have a shortage of housing in the country in general, and certainly in our area. And so you are dealing with any house that's priced anywhere close to well and is a decent house, it's gone very quickly. It doesn't sit there for very long. Even with rates being higher the last few months and things like that, it is priced what people think is right. It will sell quickly. And back in the day, you could go and look and drive around and go look at a house and like, we'll go look at it next week and 2 weeks, see what we think. Because they would stay there for months, a lot of times, before they would sell. And that certainly has not been the case for the last, 3 or 4 years. And certainly creates a different energy around the home buying process, which makes all the different steps in getting your buyers ready that much more important, but that's a different class. But yeah, so we've kind of gone over the ahas a little bit, and now we're going to kind of dive into some other stuff here. Pick the house, open house. So this is one I like right here. Make sure that this is something that it was brought up in the last couple of months. I heard someone talk about bringing in a lender. And I think that if you have a lending partner that you really like working with, have them come in and set up a table and be there ready to start that pre-approval process for every single potential buyer that walks through that door. People are going to give those lenders their information, and that lender is going to give you their information to fill in and follow up with. And it creates a really great energy and a really high level professionalism. You're providing value. It's an awesome way to really up the ante in your home, in your open house, I think. I haven't done it yet, but the next one I do, I'm definitely inviting a lender to be in there with us.
Just gonna we tried doing that, I had to give them notice, you have to give them like a week's notice, so they can prepare.
Sure.
Figure stuff like that, so. I tried a couple of times, I just always like, oh crap, and I'll remember, like, I need to invite, somebody from Brad's team.
Sure.
And Cameron, super nice guy, but every time he's like, I need a little more notice because I have something going on this weekend, or I would love to do this, but I can't give the time. So
Sure.
he's gotta really plan it.
Yeah, definitely want to plan ahead. So. So one of the things it talks about is, set your goals. What do you, and like you said, you could sit through an open house for a couple hours and no one comes through, or you get one potential lead comes through. What do you think are reasonable goals to set for an open house? As far as, how many leads you want to get or things of that nature, what do you hope to accomplish? You go into an open house setting goals.
I think it depends on how you set it up before the open house even starts.
Mhm.
You're gonna go door knock and you're gonna go create excitement and do social media posts and do a live video when you get there and all that stuff. Then you're more likely to have more people come.
So if you're setting the goal, I want this many leads, there's probably a direct correlation to then the energy and the effort we put in to get that result,
Yeah,
right?
but I sat through open houses where I did all the things and nobody shows up. It's honestly-
Yeah.
2 hours of peace and quiet for me.
Sure.
Yes.
I bring all my stuff, like I bring my planner and my notebook and all the stuff, and if nobody shows up, I use that time to plan my meeting.
Yeah,
So it's not a waste,
it's never a waste, right?
and
And
nobody
that's,
says mom.
mom,
Nobody asks me why I
mom,
do that.
yep. No, I think that's a great, if no one shows up, which heaven forbid that happens, you still can take advantage of that
Yep.
time.
Use your time wisely.
So this is, I didn't understand, when I was looking at this part of the course, talking about picking the house. I didn't really understand this as much. It's important to look for a great and visible location, preferably not more than 3 turns from a major road. And I was reading this, I'm like, I'm not sure exactly what they're talking about here. And I think it's about signs, but it's talking about picking the right house. Which you don't, you have a house that's to sell, that's the house you're gonna sell,
Right.
right? Or if somebody's like, yeah, you can host an open house and it's in the, somewhere that's kind of weird. You figure out how to make it work.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure exactly what they were talking about with that, but, so I think this is really important. You want to know the neighborhoods, you want to understand a list of conversation starters and not necessarily scripts, but having some practice with the types of, ways that potential buyers coming in are gonna try to not talk to you, right? They're gonna be like, oh, it's a aggressive realtor. We don't want to deal with them. We just want to look. And it's the classic, oh, I'm just shopping, I'm just looking, thanks. And so I think you want to be able to create that rapport, create that connection. And so understanding how to kind of break the ice a little bit is a key part of this process. What are some questions that they might have about the house, about the whole process? If you're coming in as a buyer, what are they gonna ask you? Anybody have any ideas?
Sometimes they refuse to talk to me.
They won't talk to
Refuse
you.
Sign in.
Yeah,
And so that's the other thing too, we've like, hey, go and sign in, you get a cookie, you sign in, make a joke of it, right? And like, oh, we have this QR code too, just want to get that scanned and, we'll take you right to the landing page, and I'll just give your information right then and there, and if they don't want to talk to you. You'd be like, hey, I'm just kind of walking through the house myself, so what exactly you guys shopping for? And he totally just, hey, it's cool, because I've learned from a very short time, is you don't want to leave them alone, you really don't, and kind of like, you're the seller's agent representing the seller, that's the seller's house still. So you kind of want to stick with them in case, God forbid, and I'm learning people are not always good in nature as I like to see them be. And anyway, You always want to stick with them and make sure they're not doing anything stupid or breaking.
Well,
something.
and the other thing too is you're not, if you have a really busy open house, you can't stay with all of them. And so one of the things that I learned early with open houses, I think, is that you can't walk the house with everybody, but whoever comes through the door first, you introduce yourself and you stay with them. And I think your goal is to have an appointment set before they leave. If you can,
Yeah.
right? So when they come through the door, you're talking, having a conversation. Now, they may have an agent, and if that's the case, then that's okay. But there are going to be potentially people coming through that don't. And so I think you want to know all about the neighborhood. You want to know every single other house that is similar to the one that you're listing in the area, anywhere in town that's in that price range, in that size range. You want to know all the other options. What do you, if you don't like that, this one's not working, then hey, here's 4 other houses that might be available. Would you like to go see them? I'm done here at 4. We could meet you at 5, and I could show you that house at 5. Does that sound like a good plan? And I think figuring out ways to take, if that's not the house, because your first goal is to sell out, but you're also trying to generate leads and to create business. And so provide value. Hey, I'd be happy to meet you. We're done here at 4. We can schedule a showing at 5 for this house. Would you like to see this one today? And I think that that's a great way to try to take someone through the house. And then when they leave and they're done, and whether you have an appointment or not, then the next person that comes, we do the same thing.
Yeah.
And you stay with that one person. You don't try to like, oh, hey, how's it going? Hello. And the next thing you know, you haven't really connected with anybody. You've been there for 2 hours running a chicken with your head cut off. So
Be right here.
just say, hey, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm here. My name's Steve. I'm your agent hosting today, and would love to chat with you. And then you just stay with the person you're with, whoever it is. There's easy ways to have that kind of easy flow conversation.
That's funny. I don't do that. I don't stay with people.
Mhm. That was one of the things in this big time agent who their entire business is based on open houses. And as a multimillionaire, he still does open houses on the weekends. He puts out 30 signs. That was his thing. Stay with one person, with one buying couple or group, whatever it is, until they're done. And your goal is to make sure that you have an appointment set with them before they leave. And I was like, what? So it kind of guides my open house mindset. It's like, oh, hey, how's it going? I'm Steve. Let me show you around the house. Let's, and then you're working, you're figuring out while you're doing that, what they want. Asking good questions about what brought them in, why they're there, are the specs for the house, the size, the price range, pre-approval, all the things you need to know. You have a catalog in your head of the houses that are available, if it's not this one, and then you're able to say, hey, well, are you available this afternoon? We're done here. I'd be happy to show you. We can schedule showings for these 2 or 3 houses and get you in there today and let you get a chance to compare them to this one. And I think those are ways to try to enhance and kind of really up the level of quality of the potential lead you might have. But sign-ins we all want everybody to sign. We want their information. What I typically do is like, hey, what's your name? And I just have a little book and I write it down. I just keep it with me. And I'm like, all right, Joe, great. Email, phone number, perfect. And I just keep that list with me the whole time as I'm going through. I do think that having a QR code where they have to enter their name and phone number and email, and then you tie it to, hey, we're going to give away this thing, right? Have a raffle connected to it. We're going to be doing this afternoon. We'll call the winner at 5 o'clock this evening. And there's great, easy auto-generated, raffle stuff online. You can just put everything into it, and then you get a winner.
Social media that all day.
Sure.
Video.
So hey, look, we have this amazing bottle of bourbon or a small TV or whatever, some cool gift pack. The olive oil store here put together an awesome olive oil vinegar package for 50, 60 bucks. Give that away. Like those are really cool things to
Spice and tea guy.
all that kind of stuff. People will be like, that's kind of fun. And I think give them some value, and it doesn't cost much, and it enhances the chances that you're going to get more captures of the leads at the open house. So Yeah, so if I don't have a sign-in sheet, I'm writing them down myself. I had a little, like a black book that must have looked like a Bible at some point, and I was standing there when these people walked in, and they're like, they like, "You like a minister?" No, far from it.
Blessing the house.
That's right. So this is a question.
I make notes, so I use the QR code, but I really like the hand sign in,
Yes.
handwritten sign in, because my brain will connect their handwriting with their face, because the.
Interesting.
It does, so I can tell you a guy from open houses in Harrodsburg, I can tell you who he is by his handwriting. Anyways, that's just how my brain works. But then I flip the paper over and I make notes about them, so I don't forget like what their story is. Like, oh, they're the ones that had a baby, or they're the ones that are moving from California,
Yeah.
whatever.
Sure.
But I know it's more efficient to use the sign in.
Efficiency is great, and I think we all want to be efficient, but you also have to do it, and it has to work for you. And if it doesn't work for you, then doesn't matter how efficient it might be, it's gonna be wasted.
It just doesn't connect,
Yeah.
like when they sign in online, I forget their name immediately,
What is your name?
Right.
I've forgotten.
right?
No, so yeah, I think that you gotta use systems that work for you.
Yeah.
And that allow you to get what you need out of that open house.
And then I keep the open house sheets, and if I don't have anybody to call, I'll go through that from a year ago and be like, hey, I
Yeah.
met you at this open, and I can tell them the date and the address because I write it all down.
So one of the questions they have here is the time.
I already bought a house.
I've never really had a theme for an open house other than coming to the house. But as far as times, we typically think about Saturday and Sunday. But I also think this time of year, an evening open house is probably not a great idea because it's so dark still.
Yeah.
But in the summertime, when it's light till 9 or 9:30, having an open house after work time from 5 to 7 is probably, or 4 to 7 or 4 to 6, could be a great way to get an entirely different group of people able to come. Maybe they work on the weekends, or they've got, 18 different sport activities they have to do with their kids, or whatever it might be. They can maybe show up at 5 o'clock after work and drop in and see a house. So something to think about. Maybe you do an open house, in the midweek, in the evening, and then you have one scheduled for the weekend. I don't know. I think that those are some good ways. Certainly, wine and cheese. I love food, so anytime I can provide a little food and drink and that kind of thing, I think it always enhances, and it's also a great way to, if you're hanging out, hey, can I get you a wine, can I get you a water, it's a way to continue that conversation, enhance that conversation. All right. Themes, themes are weird. I think one of they talk about like football time and football theme or game day theme. Talking basketball or football could definitely be a theme you might try to pick up on and have, white and blue balloons or something like that for that type of thing. I think that generally you want to have great value with the information you're providing, a lender present, and that kind of thing is way more important than the theme. I think, but you want to create an energy, so maybe that's a great way to do it. Having things that are decorated to go along with that. Talks about open houses with other open houses, and we've talked about people used to drive around, and I think that you can look, and there might be a half a dozen open houses or more in an area on any given week. And if people are looking to buy a house, they might go and hit all those open houses at that time. So I think that there's no negative to having your open house scheduled around the same time as other open houses in that kind of 1 to 4 o'clock block of time.
I
So
just want to do something to speak up.
you want to make sure you have enough signs and have signs that look good and get some balloons up or something that gets that attention.
It's funny, we had a United, we were in this United Road, we're running open houses at the same time. Should I got two. I went out and put 10. And actually, that was like 2 balloons, it was like, oh, hell. They actually, had a lot more.
Well, the people, you know,
Way more excited.
if you have the helium inside of the house, that totally.
Yeah.
The, so know your market. I think this is really important. You want to understand what that neighborhood is like. You want to understand what the other comparable market values of all the homes in the area, what have things been selling for? What's, you know, people like to think, you know, what's the price per square foot of this home and the homes in the area? They like to know those things. They want to know, you know, what school system is this house in? Are they good schools? And you have to direct them to the information that they can look up. But I think that you want to understand the kind of giving them a sense of what it's like to live in that neighborhood by knowing, oh, from here, it only takes, you know, 3 minutes to get to the mall. It takes, you know, you can get downtown in 10 minutes. Whatever that kind of firsthand experience and knowledge about the neighborhood and the market is really important. I think that spending time doing that research is key. And if you're trying to create an appointment for after that open house, you need to know all the other open houses. I would even print out information sheets on the other houses with your info on it, like it's your listing, right? Print it off MLS. And have some of those available. Oh, well, hey, here's another house. If this one's not working, be happy to show this one. And figure out how to, you know, find alternatives to this house if it's not. Because if ultimately you want to sell this house, but you also want to have a lead, have another transaction somewhere else. So know your market, know all the other homes that are for sale, know what the prices are, get all of that stuff on lockdown for the open house. Because then you sound like the local expert. You suddenly have all the information and all the knowledge that they need. And if you're doing that, oh, and here's Brad, my lender here. Talk to him, get pre-approved, he can help you figure out ways to, I think that there's a ways, you know, we've been hearing a lot about buying down rates and that kind of thing. Figure out a way to work with the lender. What can we do to, you know, help us? If you use Brad, we can help you buy down the rate, or we can, here's some options to reduce your payment by doing this, to work with your lender to come up with some other interesting ways to make them buying this house more attractive. Music.
Like soft.
Do you bring a little,
Jazz.
just a little Bluetooth speaker? And-
Yeah, just to break up the noise, the non-noise that's there.
If you're gonna do it, you need a disco ball, okay?
Put it like right above the refrigerator, so it broadcasts everywhere, and it's like, it's very soft, like, oh, is that jazz? Yeah, cool.
Wynton Marsalis in the background, nice. All right. Be safe is something that I don't think about a lot for me, but I know that it is a big issue. If you're in any way, shape, or form uncomfortable being alone in a big house, in advertising, hey, open house, everybody come and see this place, and then you're in there by yourself, that can be weird. And I think there's a lot of good safety measures that can be set up to help keep you safe when you're doing your open house. Obviously, the one I hadn't thought of was parking on the streets, you know, so you can get away quicker.
Yeah, don't park in the driveway. People
Never.
park you in.
Never.
Even when you're showing houses, you should.
And you should be the last one in the house when they're showing us. Like, their version, you should,
Yes, like you don't lead someone into a room. You
You're
let them-
sure.
Yeah,
You let them go into the room first.
that's something that Cheyenne, actually, I learned from you, that very first one is, we as guys don't necessarily think about that. Like, oh, yeah, whatever, but she's like, no, you park on the outside of the driveway, you can park facing out, you let them go in first, you don't let it lead them in, you know.
I was thinking about the back door also. and
Yeah,
make sure it's
where's
locked.
your exits, where's your entrances, you know, basements, I found out, she doesn't necessarily like basements. So, and for rightfully so, you won't get trapped in the basement, usually some of them are walk-ins, you know, so safety's a thing.
For sure, and I think it's something.
I have a stun
Obviously,
gun also.
what?
My mom got me a stun gun for Christmas. And a purse,
Cheyenne is armed and dangerous.
and a purse that when I get a gun, you can put the gun in the purse
Concealed carry.
and you like, if you can have your
It's like a
hand.
glove gun that,
It is.
and then it's silencer, so no one knows that you.
The caveat to that, if you do that, it gives plastic coated warning, self-defense rounds, so they don't penetrate the body. Throws it out there.
I'm not worried about their safety if they're.
No, I'm worried about the house. You don't want damage to the house, it just stays in the body.
Oh my God.
Okay, so more than you ever wanted to know about personal stuff.
Take your jiu-jitsu class and do wonders.
We gotta do it.
That's right. No, be safe. All right.
Safety is.
And you're right, you guys don't think about that.
Yeah.
I think about that even when I'm at the grocery store. My babies aren't little, and I still park next to the cart return.
Well, it's just convenience.
So that when I put my groceries in my car, I don't have to worry about walking away from it and somebody getting in the back seat and attacking me or whatever while I'm returning
See
the car.
that? I never, ever. I have to be in a really strange location to ever be concerned about being attacked.
I know you guys follow me through fire.
Being abducted by aliens can happen anywhere. But it's just safe.
When my kids are with me, my kids walk over, like, I put,
That's why when it started, because when they take babies with them to the grocery store.
we only get in one door, like, my oldest crawls across the back seat and gets in her seat and buckles herself up. I just look at the buckle. My
I
oldest locks the doors until I get done.
do not. I can't imagine living with that much anxiety.
It's not anxiety, it's awareness.
Yeah, but
When I was very little, my mom took, like, we talked about when you're walking to a parking lot, through a parking lot at night, you're just you're paying attention. You're not on your phone, you don't sit in your car, mount your checkbook or whatever you don't sit there and do that. You get in, you pay attention to who's around you, you get in the car, you start it and you leave.
What's the first thing you do after you get in the car when it's dark?
I buckle my seat, I lock the door.
You lock the doors. You get in, you lock the doors, you put your.
So I'm not scared. You don't wanna mess with me.
Yeah,
I have to follow
no, we know that now.
I made such a big stink when that dude followed me through Meyer.
Okay, I got.
You don't wanna follow me.
Oh, I was in that arrested.
But you gotta pay, like, as females, you have to pay attention.
oh, for sure, I get it, right, I understand.
We
It's
are
just,
very distracted.
it's not my brain's not there.
It's different for women.
It shouldn't be, but it is.
Yeah. All right.
Sure, you're sending.
Difference between big and really big is how you manage your time and focus. All right. How does this apply to holding an open house?
How do you prepare for it?
Mhm. Right, 2 balloons versus 10 balloons. Pretty much. I think that pretty much sums it up. Are you hosting a 10 balloon open house? Or are you hosting a 2 balloon open house? You want to be 10 balloons or more, right?
I think 5 is a safe
5, you might get the
middle,
job done.
safe middle. I think 10 balloons might say, I really need this household. 5 balloons says, come and look. 2
So-
balloons says, come if you want to, you don't have to.
Prepare, prospect, and pursue. So one of the things that we haven't talked about yet, using smart plans for your open houses, right? And doing a couple different things on the design and social media side of things, as well as your follow-up with like an 8x8 smart plan that you should have plugged into your smart plan list already. So then you can just pull it up on your phone and you've got so you finish the open house and you have all the names. And whether they've dropped into your database automatically or you're handwriting them in, you enter them in and then you enter them into that 8x8 smart plan, which immediately will trigger follow-up texts, phone calls, emails over the next 8 weeks. And those follow-up connections are really important to, one, lock this person into your brain, get them into your pipeline. They should then move from those smart plans into various points of the buyer pipeline, right? In your opportunities in command. Because then you're going to be there in the nurture or whatever it is and ready to go. And for me, that's where I go for my daily and weekly calls are my pipeline. Like I know those are the people that I need to be following up with and staying in touch with. And if you've done 10 open houses in the last few months, you might have 25 or 30 people that are all on this nurture side of things, right? And so now they're gonna pop up on your phone and on your computer as your daily tasks, as that 8x8 smart plan kicks in, right? And so then you're gonna, oh, I gotta call Martha, who's at the open house, and she texted back last week, so now we're gonna follow up today and continue to build that rapport. And once you connect with them around 8 times, then you're stuck in their head, and they're gonna be much more likely to remember and want to be able to connect back with you if you followed up with them consistently over the, the following couple months. So really important to have those smart plans plugged in and ready to go after that open house. So, here it says, one of the, our goal for an open house is to get appointments with active buyers and sellers. That's one of the #1 goals. And so that is our focus as well as selling the house. So this is talking a lot about as you're getting ready for your open house and thinking about the process, if you have all of your material, you know what you need to do. You've probably printed up and have an easy door hanger that you can interchange different houses with and just get those printed off quickly. You might need a good 10 days prior to get all the things prepped and ready to go. Plus, you want to try to schedule that lender to be there. Like we said, you might want to give them some heads up. They probably can't drop everything and just show up in a day or two notice. And so I think that those types of things are really important. To be prepared. Talks a little bit about mindset here, removing those limiting beliefs, set your, high and achievable goals, focus on your success and believe in yourself. I had never thought about going into an open house and going, how many leads do I want
I have.
out of that? And that's one of the things it's talking about. And I think it's an interesting way to approach an open house. I think if you get one really good lead out of any open house, we know that that can generate a, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 plus commission potentially, right? So one lead can be worth every single penny of your time and effort for that day. So obviously the more the better. And I think that I never thought about that. How many leads do I plan on, or is my goal for the day? Because I think that's kind of an interesting way to maybe help guide your actions and your activities and how focused you might be. If I need 10 leads from this house, I better get my butt moving. That maybe means I'm going to be, door knocking multiple days prior to the open house and covering a couple hundred homes before we, get there. And just that alone, door knocking a couple hundred homes every weekend is a huge way to get your name out there. And it may not do anything for a while, but eventually it will have an impact.
Well-
You bring your son out there, that's what I do, for the family, if you hang out, he rings the doorbell, I talk to the people, we make it a game. I bring him lunch, it isn't stars.
That's good. You don't want to start. Child services.
It's really important to say again, it's the long game.
It
People are
is.
not always ready, just because they're coming to open houses. We went to open houses for years before we bought a house.
Sure.
And a lot of people do the same. You can't follow up with them once and then quit.
So that 8x8 smart plan, you go through that 8x8, you get to know them, you follow up, see how they're doing. And at some point, they're going to shift at the end of that into your neighborhood nurture, into your quarterly call, whatever other system that you're using in your smart plans. They go from that 8x8 and then they drop into that. Here's the address for the open house, so this is going to be that first neighborhood that falls into that nurture. And if you get their home address currently, then that goes in there too. So then they're getting a neighborhood nurture for a couple neighborhoods that they find interesting, where they're either buying or selling or both. So those things are really important, and it puts them into a system where then you're getting reminders on a regular basis of when to call or send an email or a text, because they're in your smart plans. And it's happening either like the nurture automatically, you don't have to do anything, As long as you have that email and an address, done. Right, and that's 26 touches just with that thing, you're on a bi-weekly nurture, so. Um. hmm. Yeah, this is very specific. I think that, you know, we've talked about some smart plans, and follow-up, signage, balloons. Having a 10 balloons open house, not a 2 balloon open house.
Yeah, seriously, it's sad.
It's 10, it's the number.
Um,
Doing your neighborhood walk, door knocking, inviting neighbors. But, you know, on command in your designs, you have easy open house. Social media posts ready to go. You just plug in that home information, get them scheduled and post them, get them out. And you can do that easily. I think the live stuff is cool too. I think if you're doing a live one, that's awesome. And I think that, for someone like me, getting my YouTube channel back up and rolling again, if you have an open house, you make a video about that open house and then tie it into the neighborhood. And say, hey, hosting an open house this week in the, you know, I got a neighborhood, it's great. Here's what we love about this neighborhood. Here's what we love about this house. Come check it out this weekend. We'd love to see you at the open house. Whatever it might be, it gives you a chance to highlight that neighborhood, because for me on a channel like that, one of the purposes of that is to, you know, provide information that's valuable for people who either live here or are looking to live here. It's always going to be interesting information forever on YouTube. So, so post online and do it more than once, right? I think you can get those yard signs out in front of the house early. I would not put your directionals up more than maybe that morning of or the evening before. They can get picked up, stolen, messed with a lot. And I think that if you get them out in the morning of, it's probably fine, or the evening before. And I think sometimes people don't like them in their corners and different places. They might get, people have issues with yard signs.
You can use that as an opportunity to
Yes.
door knock though also.
For sure.
Hey, you mind if I put my sign in your yard?
Absolutely.
Like, that's a great way to have conversations with neighbors.
Yeah, we got an open house coming up.
do you mind?
I'd love for you to come by, but can I put my sign here? I'll be sure to come back and get it after my open house on Sunday.
Yes,
We'll pick them all up. And we'll do that.
and there's some neighborhoods that will take them down. immediately.
Oh, for
You
sure.
gotta pay attention to where you're at. and what
There's
the
some
rules
pretty
are.
crazy HOAs out there that are just, which makes no sense, because you want your neighborhood to have a vibrant market for people to
Right.
buy and sell houses in that market. And if you make it hard, it's kind of annoying. And so I don't understand some of the HOA crazies, but
I think the neighbors appreciate when you go up to them, and I've tried several attempts. And
mhm.
finally get a hold of them, like, hey, by the way, I just would like to put my sign in your yard. We're selling this house, so we're gonna take a look at it, just keep you my card. They really do appreciate it, like, hey, thank you so much for asking.
Yeah.
A lot of people just throw signs in my yard. I see a Space Force guy in Masters Station, he had signs everywhere. I'm like, wow, he must have talked to a lot of people. 3 days later, I saw him picking them all back up, because he didn't talk to anybody. He just left them in the road, like the space between the sidewalk and the street. Just throw them everywhere, and he was back there picking them up in his government vehicle. I'm like, oh, that sucks, dude. Like, sorry. you
No,
know,
and-
I mean, it's just, it's a
People, like I forgot one time.
thing.
Forgot to, I think I got them all. Hey, your sign's in my yard, would you mind coming up? Sure, thanks, because my number's on there so they can call, but,
It's better than them just.
that's right, throwing it away. No, and
There's
I,
some HOAs that don't allow it. So
Mhm.
you have to, like, if you're doing an open house, you better do your due diligence and know which neighborhoods allow signs.
tend to ask for forgiveness, not permission, but sometimes that will bite you in the butt and
Mhm.
they'll throw your signs, but usually. They will hopefully call you if it's like an official, because they want to tell you so you don't do it again. So they'll call, hey, I've got all your signs
Mhm.
at my house, come get them. Great, okay. Thanks. Yeah, they're crazy.
I Oh, for that very reason.
Sorry, keep you started. What are the good?
Yeah, we've talked about, knowing the neighborhood, community and neighborhood information, parks, schools, what it's like to live there, how long it takes to get places, the benefits of living in certain areas. First time buyer specifics is an interesting, I think that's one of the reasons having a lender at the open house can be huge. If you haven't bought a house before, or you haven't bought a house in 10 years, you may not really understand just how important it is to be pre-approved, because if you're not ready to go, you can't really write an offer. And I'm not gonna write an offer for someone who's not pre-approved.
Yeah.
And I'm like, listen, we can't do anything until I have that pre-approved.
Right.
And
So important.
if you don't have that, you're gonna be, you just have to wait. So being able to provide that service is great for those first-time buyers. Mortgage information, I think that, being able to say, hey, well, look, here's what current rates are, but every, a rate for you might be different. Every person's rate is like a fingerprint. It's not gonna be identical. This is what it might say the rates are, but for you, it depends on a lot of different factors that will impact your, ability to get a loan and what that rate's gonna be. And we have the potential to maybe buy it down and help you even get it lower. Maybe we can get the seller to help buy it down. There's lots of ways to do that, that you can talk to the buyers about. So don't forget that. Yep, always have to mention the leads, listings, and leverage. The 3 Ls, a big part of the MREA book. And that's why open houses and listings are so powerful, right? The more listings you have, the more potential you have to generate even more leads through that listing, which is what we want, right? So, I know that once I started putting signs up and had some of my first listings, I got a series of calls from houses around that, and I sold, 3 or 4 houses all connected to that first sign in the Brigadoon neighborhood. That one behind it, across the way, like they saw the sign, so they called me. Hey, I saw you sold a house in my neighborhood. Can you sell my house? Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll be right there.
That's it. I'm driving, putting your jacket on. and I'm like,
That was the one you did open house.
I did.
Did you know? So.
And the people that sold their house behind them were like the sweetest couple.
So this sweet couple, they moved from here and they moved to urban. And they are now separated. They're like 80 years old.
Which is,
He has a girlfriend.
Uh,
Yeah. Sad.
bet she's 60.
She's probably a hot young 65-year-old. Yeah. No, he's 80 at least, and
Dude.
I don't know, but I'm working with their sons to sell a property in Estill County here later this year. And so it was one of those things, I was like, oh, I can't wait to work with them again. And he's like, well, unfortunately, my dad is no longer with my mom. I'm like, what are you talking about? He was like doting on her constantly, and she couldn't get around very well, and was helping her get around and all that. We signed documents in the truck in the street out here when we sold their houses because she couldn't get out of the car, had a wheelchair for her at closing. And, he's off and running.
Yeah.
So, wow. The son was like, yeah, my dad's always had a thing for the ladies. So anyway, but no, they were a great, super awesome couple, had a great house that we sold. Yeah. So build trust and rapport. This is obviously an important part of the becoming really good at open houses, I think, is to be able to not be threatening, not be that hard salesman kind of person when they come through. Be curious, ask good questions in a way that is gonna let them talk to you, and they're all gonna come to you in different levels of ability to want to communicate, right? Some of them are going to be open, and some of them are going to be very shut off. So you have to kind of figure out how to be that. And I think that, both of you for sure, and you're the teacher mentality, like people are going to be, oh, this guy, I wanna talk to him, he seems like a good dude, and I wanna figure out, I'll work with this guy, this is great, so I think that figuring out ways to connect with whoever's walking through that door is important.
You have
Um,
7 seconds to make a first.
Yep. You know, there's some great questions, what brought you in today? Are you looking for a home in this neighborhood or in this price range? Have you been looking at other houses? Would you like to know more about the market or the neighborhood? What do you like about this house that I'm, so that I can share it with other people or with my sellers? Be positive, upbeat. It's a big deal buying a house. I think we forget, we think about it in time as agents now. But it's a huge, huge process to do, and I think that it's gotten more challenging and requires a lot of extra steps. Now you have to save a lot more money, it's a lot more expensive, it's just become much more of a big deal, and I think that we have to remember that.
And that is so true. We can easily take ourselves out of the equation, like, oh yeah, it's just a house, blah, blah, but this is like a family. They're trying to plan the future, they're putting their furniture in places, utilities and everything else. And if we still stay in that, still stay true to that, it's a big deal for anybody. It helps kind of keep us grounded. It's like, oh yeah, nobody else's house, just sign here, it's supposed to be, yeah, let's go,
No, I agree. I think, I mean, I think everybody here that I can see that's on, we're all fairly normal humans. We don't, live in some kind of strange bubble. We're pretty grounded individuals that live pretty normal lives, do things in a pretty standard way. We don't have anything crazy about how we, you're not jetting off to Vegas on a regular basis or living this highfalutin Georgetown lifestyle. I know, Scott County,
Yes.
big time. I know that, so I think that we can relate, right, which is part of our strength, and one of the reasons that things that make good agents is that you are pretty relatable and are pretty down to earth and able to communicate in a way that makes people feel pretty comfortable. I think that's one of the strengths of a lot of agents in this office too, so. You may not be able to greet everyone at the door, right? If you're with that one client that you're walking with, you might have 6 others that come through, and eventually you're gonna try to get. You try to stay there and just say, hey, talk to me later, hey, talk to me. Then you've got 6 people walking to your house and you haven't had a connection with any of them. Right. So pick one, stay with them, then go to the next. You'll have 3 really great conversations instead of 12 mediocre ones. It's my thought.
I do gift bags also. The people are leaving. I
Gift
know I've said that
bags.
before in this class, but. I
That's a
make
cool idea.
I make little bags
Write it down.
and I buy cheap bags from Amazon because they're gonna throw them away. I print little things for stopping by and things. I put a pen, my card, which is a magnet,
What's on the pen?
my information.
You have little pins. Oh, that's fun. So this is marketing, let's call this merch in the biz, right? You gotta get some good merch and, you gotta have your swaggy goodness and have some cool stuff on it.
And then I have a coupon that I made for home equity analysis, and it used to be that they had to call me for it. Well, with the new equity analysis part of Command, you can create one and people can scan a QR code and put their address in, it puts them into your Command automatically, and they get a instant value. Now, it's not super precise because
So what is it again?
it's an equity analysis, you can do it through Command. So it's not a landing page, but kind of, so
But you get their contact information through that?
yes, because they have to put their contact information in, address.
Everything.
That's awesome.
They have to put it in there.
So that's what you should have as your check-in for your.
So now I have that, I put it on it's still like it says, free home equity analysis, scan here. And so I put that in the bag,
Yeah.
and I make koozies.
They had those before, they're just gonna play another pack.
And then I staple the little thing, so like when they're opening, it's like a gift, because they have to open it, it's stapled shut.
Like,
And so I give it to them, I'm like, oh, here's your.
another example, small amount of cost,
Yeah.
bigger time cost, right?
Super minimal.
Yeah.
The coupons don't cost me anything, they're printed here,
What
we
are
pay office fees. The
What are the
pens
coupons?
for
What are the coupons for?
the home equity analysis. The business cards are something you would probably have anyway.
Yep.
Pens were super cheap, maybe 10 cents a pen or something. And then the koozies I made, so they're pretty cheap. 50 cents a piece, maybe $1. So,
Yeah, koozies are around $1.
and the bags are probably, they're so cheap. I buy like 500 of them for like $15.
Yeah. Cool, like little brown bags.
They're white.
They're white. Awesome, I like it.
But I don't brand them
It's
intentionally.
another great idea. Give it back.
I don't brand them because they're gonna from like,
For sure. You don't need to spend money on that.
nope. And I always joke about it. I'm like, oh, let's do something. Here's your gift for something, bye. And people remember it.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And, and part of that,
Makes
that
sense.
8x8 follow-up, you have the gift bag, you have the market analysis. Send them your app. Send them that as part of the follow-up. Hey, here's my app. You searching for homes, please go through here. If you ever have any questions, let me know. As part of that follow-up, I think is really important. Yep, your stats, market stats, understanding, the different personalities of people that are coming through. I think is important. The classic, family, occupation, recreation, dream type questions are always good. The Ford setup,
You ask the right questions, people spill their guts.
for sure.
But it has to be open-ended questions.
For sure, open-ended, and a lot of things that are not, so how has this process been for you so far? Things that are, gives them a chance to open up to you, very important. So sign-in sheet is one of the things we're talking about, a landing page and command. The offer the KW app, I think the app is something that I want to do to follow. I don't necessarily want to shove it onto them right then.
It's a great touch afterwards.
It is. Ask those questions and then, remember you're there to get leads and appointments, so ask for their business and referrals and don't be attached to the outcome. You have to ask. You gotta ask for that follow-up appointment. I'd love to follow up with you. Can we schedule a meeting next week? I would want all the take a call. When you come and table this house, so, whatever it might be.
This little just here.
Kinwood table. Been Kinwood table? That's. Kinwood table, it's on Owsley. It's awesome. I worked there yesterday for 3 or 4 hours. It was awesome. All right. So follow up, convert leads, we talked about 8x8. I think you have that smart plan ready to roll. So when you're done with your open house, you sit down for a few minutes and put in. Most of the time, it's going to be 3 or 4, maybe it's 10 or 12. I've had, double digit, people at open houses before with follow up, and it's been pretty awesome, right? When you have 25 people coming through your open house and it's nonstop, that's exciting. Put them all in the smart plan and follow up with them over the next week. So it gives you something to do every day. And then you feel like you're actually a realtor, which if you don't have listings, if you're not working with buyers actively, you can get lost, I think, sometimes. And doing open houses and having some of this follow-up is huge to make you feel like you're actually doing this. Right. So it's powerful. And follow up, convert them after, update the database, put them in the smart plan. And the follow-up with all of them will happen with that 8x8. It's already in the library of smart plans in your command. So just activate it over there. And then all you have to do is just put in a trigger and it's good to go. You can just drop them right in every time. You can have specific open house follow-up smart plans if you want. And have the trigger be, you put a tag on that person, open house or whatever it is, and they'll immediately drop in to that smart plan. Although when you're only doing a handful, it's not that hard to just initiate the smart plan, but if you want it to be completely hands-off, just put a tag on that is the trigger and you're good.
Thank you. Unused commands.
I think the third one here, kind of evaluating your follow-up here, you know, did you meet the goals? What would you change? What could you do different next time? I think those are all good ways of always looking at how we did things. Can we get better next time? 20 wins, whatever it takes.
Also, if you text them on like. While you're still in the house, when the open house is open. You text them or write your thank you cards if they give you their address, which not everybody's willing to do that. But if you text them immediately instead of waiting until the next day, you're
Yeah.
gonna have more success because. Everybody's waiting until the next day to contact them. And then if they've gone to 5 or 6 open houses, they've forgotten who all these people are.
Yeah.
But if you text them that night, just don't bug them, just thanks for coming in, it's really great to meet you.
Yeah.
I'll follow up with
That's
you
it.
this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's how you
And
do
they're
it.
like, oh, that was the girl who was.
It's nice to meet yourself.
Yep.
And I will say also, just because people aren't responding to you, doesn't mean they don't hear you.
That's right.
So keep that in mind when you're calling, texting, emailing, just because people aren't responding, doesn't mean they're not. gonna-
Feedback. You can tell them everything you loved and hated about my class.
Yes.
Skip right over that. Plan an open house. Go plan one right now.
Right here.
Let's do it.
Who has a listing?
Well, it's in Korea, it's under contract as of today, so I would not advise it.
So does anybody at home have any questions? Mohammed, Nelly, anybody? Who else is on here? Anybody else? Am I missing somebody? iPhone Pro Max.
Who is that?
Who are you, iPhone Pro Max? Please share. Tell us who you are. Nelly or Mohammed, you guys have any questions for us? Any things that you'd like to share that you were like, Nelly, you've done some open houses, I think, haven't you?
I feel like this checklist here, it kind of helps if you don't have a checklist. And if you do, it also has some true checklists. We have one with the team, but it's kind of helpful to have stuff in there that you don't know.
All right.
Yes, I have.
Oh, there she is. Tell me, Nelly.
Yeah, I have done some. Just the same thing you guys are doing, all the things that you guys are saying. That's exactly what I try to do to help me capture leads.
Great.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's always, I think these classes are good you might get one little new nugget of information or one new thing like, oh, I haven't done that. Let me try that. But typically it's just good to hear even the things that you're doing. Again, you're like, yeah, okay, I'm doing that. That's good. Let's do that. Let's get better at that. And I think that like with anything in this business, you just have to do it. You just doing it's better than thinking about it or planning to do it. You have to do it. And if you aren't, nothing happens from not doing anything. So you gotta do something, you've got to do something or nothing will happen. And
Doesn't have to be.
it's
perfect.
simple, but it isn't easy. So just requires some time and effort and get it done.
Yep.
So, all right. I think we are about done. Aha, to achieve it now, you need to go off to your success systems, knock out some calls and some notes and some follow-up and get out there and get after it. Thanks you all for joining us today. That concludes today's meeting. Tomorrow, I'll be back talking about social media. And we'll go over some of the
coming back.
do's and don'ts.
Oh, no, you need to see. This is great.
Great,
Thank you
so,
for teaching, Steve.
oh, you're welcome, my pleasure. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye.
Thank you, Steve.
Hey, you're welcome, Mohammed. Take care.
Thank you too.
Take us. He's like, what? He's like, what's going on, guys?
There's a week in February, you're gonna have somebody different every day, not me,
Yeah.
being taking care of my mother.